Hello PIN Music Conference. We are here to discuss an interesting topic. Well, we are going to talk about different things, but the great thing is that Skopje is European Capital of Culture for 2028, and we are all here from different backgrounds with different experiences involving European Capital of Culture. So it's great to have you all here. I would just recommend a very brief introduction from everyone, just in few sentences, to say who you are, who you represent, and then we can take this conversation further. Vladimir, would you start?
Hello everybody, Vladimir Rukavina, coming from Maribor. I am the director of a cultural center, second biggest in Slovenia, so-called Narodni dom Maribor. We organize about 2,000 events during the year, and the biggest, the most known is International Festival Lent. Beside that, I used to take Maribor 2012 through the bidding process. I used to be acting CEO, and then when we got it, then they threw me away. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Hello Skopje, my name is Lena. I am running the Music Cities Network, which is a worldwide network of music cities that is connecting for now mostly northern and western European cities like Hamburg and Berlin and Aarhus in Denmark and Manchester and Reykjavik and Sydney and Groningen in the Netherlands. So my day-to-day business is talking to these cities and keeping and trying to support them to creating the best frames for music within the cities. Aarhus used to be a culture capital as well, so I will bring in some different perspectives from my backgrounds.
Hello everybody, my name is Sanja Popovleva. I'm a project manager for the European Capital of Culture Nova Gorica Gorica 2025, and I'm also working for the Sajeta Art and Music Festival in Slovenia.
Hi, I'm Balázs Weyer, and I'm on this panel very probably because I've been working on the incumbent European Capital of Culture Veszprém. I was on the bidding team, and ever since I'm responsible for the music programming of the Capital of Culture. And I'm also a director of Hangvető, a company in Budapest. And we usually work together with several European Capital of Cultures, like coordinating programs in several places, including Plovdiv, partly Novi Sad, other cities in the region. So yeah, I've seen several Capital of Culture projects from inside, partly outside, in between. And besides that, I'm also representing here the Upbeat project, Most Music, which is also covering this region. But here now we are talking about the European Capital of Culture.
Yeah, thanks. And I'll just give also a brief introduction about myself. I'm Sara Vuletic, coming from Novi Sad, which was European Capital of Culture 2022. And I was a program director, and now we are continuing with the legacy programs and initiatives. We became a UNESCO City of Media Arts this year, which will also kind of give us a way forward. So I think it will be very interesting to discuss this topic from different angles, because one is to be a European Capital of Culture for 1 year, and the other is to last for a long time in different shapes and from obviously for different reasons as well. I would like to start with you, Vladimir, and just ask you one interesting question. In this process of being European Capital of Culture in 2012 and from all your previous experiences, what was the biggest struggle and what would you change in this process?
Well, I would change everything if I could, looking backwards, but still, the biggest struggle and the biggest thing which didn't work was politics. I think that this is something what is waiting for every future capital city. So I can see Skopje will become capital city, and there are a lot of representatives of Ministry of Culture here, and also a lot of representatives of city of Skopje. Well, they will appear. then when the year will go on. But it is like that. Capitals of culture, they start in the way with a lot of enthusiasm, and a lot of people who know what to do and how to do, they start with that. And then there is a bidding process where these people are still present. And in Maribor, it was like that. And then after winning the title, everything is changing, because they just think, oh, there will be a lot of money here, and let's go and let's spend that money. And my own experience is, after we finished everything and have had the program, then everything changed, of course. I'm somebody who doesn't obey things like that, and of course that's why I had to go. Then the totally new team came, they changed the program, and well, it's not, the program was quite okay, but it could be done more than that. But everybody in Maribor especially, they forgot about the legacy, about the sustainability. Our cultural center, which I am running, we have a task now that we have to take care of that without any money, without any euro. So we are still attending this, let's say, ECOC meetings, ECOC family meetings, which you are also a part of it, which is a very, very interesting meeting, because there is a lot to learn, a lot to share, and so on. Well, this is the only function I've got in ECOC now. I'm the president, as you know, of A sector, and you're also part of A sector.
Well,
yes.
As a side
Yeah.
A sector. Yeah.
If somebody wants to know what is A sector, we will explain it to you later by the bar. Okay.
Off record, yeah.
Yeah, on the record. But there are a lot of things which you can learn, and in this family we learned also. Nearly to any city, it happened like that. In the beginning, there was a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of knowledge, and after that, the politics ran into it, and it was bad.
That's I think one of the biggest problems. And well, did you want to add on? Yeah. The thing is, like, you have to plan. You have to think about the legacy before you even start applying for the bid book. This is something which is very important. But Balázs, please, yeah.
I just wanted to add that with your first question, we arrived to the most important conclusion. So after this, we can finish the discussion. Because
no, this question will just open more questions.
Because
I'm very to the point.
I think the most important is that keep the team together who won the bid. It's usually a very bad message and bad results if you change the team who kind of created the vision, created the dream. And the second is focus on the legacy, focus on stuff that can change things for good in the city and on the long term. Don't spend your budgets on one-time spectacles and all the bonfires and magic that look good on a after video, but focus on what the people need locally.
Yeah, Sanja, do you want to add from your perspective of the capital of culture that is going to be, and also expert in producing festivals yourself?
In this moment, first I will mention a few facts.
Okay.
Nova Gorica Gorizia 25, we know for the title already for 3 years. And we have a third mayor, and we are changing fourth CEO. Actually coming fourth CEO. So politics is very involved, and as you said, the biggest problem is communication between public institution, municipality, and Ministry of Culture. Another fact is that we have 10 million euros for now, what is the same amount which Maribor had 11 years ago. And with that money, it's simply impossible to realize everything what is written in our bid book named Borderless. And that lack of money is frustrating politicians and people who are working now. In this moment, we have 15 employees, what is absolutely not enough. for everything what is written and everything about we are dreaming to organize. Borderless, why is borderless? I have to mention that because Nova Gorica Gorizia, as you hear, it is European capital of culture in 2 countries, in 2 cities, not only 2 cities. We have 13 municipalities from Slovenian side and 27 municipalities from Italian side. And I think Estonia started with regional or Badischl also will be regional European capitals of culture. You did it too. But with such a large number of municipalities, it's really hard to coordinate everything, and that borderless sometimes sounds cynic.
Well, yeah, sometimes we kind of shoot too high.
Yes, we have actually headquarter in Nova Gorica, but there is also on Italian side an organization who is running part of management.
Yeah.
So it's in this moment we are waiting for the CEO, and we are 1 year and few months before opening, and we are still can't say that we have a huge crew, which we want to have it because of lack of money and waiting politicians.
Yeah.
Their decisions actually.
The thing is, this is one of the biggest projects in Europe in culture, and obviously there are kind of guidelines into how to follow through and what all to do, but there are so many different cities of different sizes, of different cultural, economical, political infrastructure, that it is again on the city itself to see how to push forward. But I want to ask Lena, from the perspective of somebody who is outside European Capital Culture core team, as kind of external expert consultant and contractor in a way, and mainly working with the kind of developed Western Europe. What is your opinion, and how do you see this project from a kind of an outside perspective? Because this is also, I think, important to understand. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, and thanks all of you sharing your insights first, which I can't contribute that much because I haven't been, as you said, actively involved. From an outside perspective, I really have to ask myself the question, like, why does a city really want to do it? Like, to really ask this question yourself or the city in the beginning, to what do you want to achieve with an application like that, and how can you really actually pull it off properly? But I mean, the answers are already lying on the table, and I feel, and the thing is, I think we will talk about that more. For me, is really the sustainability part. This is bringing together so much energy in every city, or as you said, so much hype and so much positive energy in the beginning, but then it kind of all falls apart like a set of cards, like a card house that just falls together into pieces. That I have experienced as well in the talks that I had with the cities that I know have already been, like Aarhus as well. It was similar there, and they have done something. I can talk about that later. But also Leeuwarden and the cities that have become it. It's just like there's all this energy, and then after this. So my question is also how to keep this vibe going and how to really make it long lasting.
I think from kind of also being inside all these European Capitals of Culture meetings and interactions, that the answer may lie in very strong collaborations between the cities, whether they're past, future, present, or even the ones who applied and didn't get the title. There is this one interesting network called, I think Veszprém is also part of it, called Culture Next, which was actually initiated by Cluj, who didn't get the European Capital Title Award. Because the thing is, it's very important how the city itself sees the value, because in the end of the day, as we all know, we only get a little bit of money from European Union, and a lot of obviously importance on the brand of European Capital of Culture. But if the city has a strategy and knows why they want to do things, they don't even need to be a European capital of culture in order to achieve the success of it. So again, maybe as capitals of culture who didn't, who are no longer capitals of culture, to kind of be more involved with these networks and create projects together might be a way forward with the legacy, because there's no like one straight line in this process. But coming back to what maybe Skopje can learn from our experiences, we mentioned people engagement and how people understand the value and how they feel a part of it. What did Maribor, let's start from there, do to make this fictional project idea of European capital culture close to the community so they can actually benefit from it?
Maribor has had a good idea, and there was some of the projects which the community was included, let's say, ordinary people who didn't have anything to do with culture otherwise, and there were, how were they called, these gardens, Masha? Public gardens, for example, where people from the community went together, they I don't know, they worked on the land, they have their picnics, cultural events and so on, and there were a lot of other things. It doesn't mean cultural capital, cultural capital does not mean just the concerts and big show and things like that. No, you have to think about that broadly and widely. And the cities who know what is going on about that, they are the ones who succeeded, and they do have the legacy, you know, because just spending money to invite a star, and this is the only way probably for small cities like Veszprém or Maribor, or with 50, 100, 200,000 inhabitants, this is the only way how to get the money, also to make it popular. But the main thing is if it grows in the head of these people and if they accept it. And you know, still if Eurovision is more popular than being a cultural capital of Europe, there has to do something also with Europe, and this is also the point which we stressed out several times, because I don't think that the European Union is taking care about that good enough. You have to know, when you win a title, it's 1.5 million and nothing more. This is the direct money, and everything else you have to earn. But being a capital of culture, it's a great opportunity to get the money, to build few things in the city, of course, and to bring the awareness about the culture. And the cities where it grew out of the citizens, they succeeded that. I think it is very, very important now for Skopje how to start handling these things. Because it will, when people will hear, it will cost money, oh, we will pay for what, and so on. So building now the trust about things, these things, and getting the citizens involved into it, this is a very, very important thing. And of course, if it will become, let's say, too fancy, which the government will want to, because they would like to have, I don't know, stars like Placido Domingo and things like that. If they want, and then the NGOs will start to struggle with them. So it is very, very important to keep the NGOs involved. It doesn't cost anything in all this budget, and building the community relation to this event. So this is something I think, and for Skopje, it is not too soon to start thinking about that.
Yeah, you're completely right. And Balázs, from your experience, did Veszprém involve the local communities and the NGOs in the good scope, to say?
Yeah, I would say so. There were several specific funding programs that were open for, you know, this kind of totally micro projects, so like from 1,000 euro to 10,000 euros size of projects that everybody could apply to, even individuals or just a neighborhood or a street, whatever. It's also a regional approach, capital of culture, so that includes that outside Veszprém there are 100 usually very small villages involved, like mine, which is 80 inhabitants. So
in general, community is happy when you kind of
I think so. I mean, it's still on. There will be, of course, surveys and stuff made after that. But my general feeling and like the street feedback, it seems to be absolutely fine. And it's, I think it's rare in Capital of Cultures, but basically the team is almost intact since the bidding, and what we who were on the bidding team envisioned that time, we see it as we managed to accomplish. So
That's
it's
really
almost all the plans we managed to do.
yeah.
I would
Anya.
like to mention about something about NGOs. There is a lot of NGOs included, also during the writing of bid book in the process, but there is a huge number of NGOs, especially amateur, and they are not included now when you look 89 projects in a bid book. And they are, of course, unsatisfied about it. And after
Why are they not included?
because you can't include everyone. There is 1,000 NGOs
And how
doing
did you
something.
select who's gonna be included?
There was an open call. There was also some idea of people who were writing a bid book. So it is impossible to include everyone in that way. But on another way, you can include community, and also 13 municipalities should think about it, how to work on audience development and include them later in the process. I would like to mention also that after getting a title, we were waiting for 1 year for establishing a public institution who will run whole project. And during that time, we missed chance for networking. In this moment, maybe it's too late for some. It is a legacy, working with all that people and countries in the future, having big projects. We missed that chance in the first 3 years, because after establishing of public institution, then that public institution starting a process of employing people which are not a team. They don't know each other. They're bringing some their experience and contacts, but it is artificial structure. They are not working together for many years. And I'm sure that in 24 and 25, NGOs with biggest experience will have a main role to manage all that projects.
Yeah, it's
written.
also a matter of capacity.
A capacity
I agree
building,
with you,
yes.
because like when we had obviously the entire process of the title year, and before there was a bid book, and then in order to include everyone we had a big open call, and then you need to fulfill certain criteria, because even though you want to make everybody happy, it's always, I mean, it's not really possible to make everybody happy. There are a lot of, in our case, NGOs that applied, but their, for example, ideas didn't follow through the concept of our bid book and of our original idea. Therefore, it was difficult. Or there are no capacities, because that's another topic. But before that, I want to also get Lena's opinion on one thing. Budgets. How much are you capable of proving that you can deliver the project and comply with all the procedures?
And I will, as Balázs said, there
that's
is
capacity
some money
building
which
is
is
one-
going to be spread.
Mm.
But for 1,000 euros, you have one activity. You don't have a project
Yeah.
which will attract people from wider region. We say for us that our audience is actually Alpe Adria region, covering Alpe Adria region. And that budget, we have it. It's actually splitted on projects which are already existing in a bid book. For every extra project, we need also extra money. And during these last 3 years, we also started some applications and networking, but I think that will stay for legacy because for bigger projects you need more time to be prepared,
Yeah,
stronger
it's a
network
ongoing
and
process.
planning.
And for you, Lena, like, how did you get involved? And was it easy for you to get involved with the European Capitals of Culture? And was it through an open call? Was it through some kind of direct engagement? And do you find it, from your perspective, complicated or convenient to cooperate with ECOX?
I feel it was challenging, I have to say, definitely to be able to, even the example of Aarhus, just to understand the whole process of the programming and when it's happening what. So I feel it comes also down to a clear and easy way of communicating what is actually happening to which target group. And I wanted to comment on the other thing that you mentioned as well, is like really also like how to create a process like this when you know you will become a culture capital, and how can you involve the local communities and the NGOs as best as possible. Is an open call enough, or is there something else that needs to be done, like for example expert groups or just networking meetings, and when does it need to start? Everything you said I resonate a lot with, and also I know that Aarhus was also struggling with this. I feel in the end they pulled off something great and they made something nice, you know, but I know that there have been a lot of challenges along the way, like everyone said already. I feel, and as Music Cities Network, we could collaborate because we already had connections, and we did showcase, we collaborated then on structures that were already there, I have to say. It was not something that was then established.
Yeah, I mean that comes to the point of how do you want to market European Capital Culture to be clear to everyone, but also to have relevance and to have a straight message. There are different ways, obviously, and I think each city uses the branding in their own way. Vladimir, were you happy with how you communicated the project, and how do you communicate it now? Do you still talk about the legacy, or it completely shifted in another way?
Well, I couldn't. I could tell you just what happened while I was in charge after getting the bidding process. And when we went through, I think we were on the right way. Now, telling about marketing then during the event, of course, I don't think and I don't find it very sufficient enough. But you know, as I wanted, it is always, it's a treasure hunt. You have to know that. When you start to be European cultural of culture, it's a treasure hunt. Everybody thinks they have to get a part of this. And this communication in the beginning is very, very important. But asking me now, of course, you know, now I would do the best possible European cultural capital in this moment.
What
because
would
now
you change?
I can be,
What
yes,
would you change?
Yes. Well, in Maribor,
Yeah.
everything, but
Give us two, three.
I wouldn't change everything. I would leave it like it was in the first bidding book, in the way. But of course, I will try to, and this is an advice for everybody, I would try to encourage and to get people on our side. And there are few skills which you have to know, especially if you work with people like that before. I did that for all my career, you know. And
What kind of skills?
well, you have to know how to communicate to the masses, how to, I don't know, make them interested in something. It doesn't take a lot of money for that, but you have to have an idea about things like that, what to give them, what doesn't cost so much, and how to do it. And the thing which I would say to Skopje people, go to this family, ECOC family meetings, because there you can learn everything. You meet people, I don't know, Rolf Noras, our king, he is from Stavanger and he's still going there, and you get there for 2 days and you learn a lot. All
It
the
opens
mistakes
your
which has
mind.
been, which could be done, won't be done because the people who went through that, they know what is going on. See?
But
Yeah.
it's not that the people, I mean, they don't make the mistakes because they don't know. They make
less.
Yeah, but also they don't want to do these mistakes. They it's all the chaos around it and the political interference and
Yes.
I mean, let's be honest. I think nobody in the room is here from the Skopje ECOC team.
That's what I mentioned in the
Yeah,
beginning.
but but let's face the fact that probably more than half of the cities at the end fuck it up, and they waste a lot of money on bullshit projects.
Yes.
But still, I think it's the whole European Capital of Culture concept is wonderful on the one hand because the bidding process is probably even more important than the actual year because it brings together all the people who are interested in the culture in the city, not just in the one that wins at the end,
Yes.
but in several cities, all cities with aspirations in the country, which means that, I mean, altogether in Europe, like, okay, let's see, 2 cities per year, like the bidding process is around 3 years. So it means that altogether 12 countries are involved in bidding somehow at a certain moment. Several cities from 12 countries. So it means like almost 50 cities at the same time are working on a cultural vision all the time. And this bidding process helps to focus all the energies in each city on culture, to look at everything from the angle of culture.
Yeah,
Infrastructure, tourism, economy, employment, whatever. So everything is kind of serving culture, which is usually not the case. So it's kind of a very special moment in this in the life of these cities. So I think that's more important than what you make in that special year.
The way is more important than the finish when you achieve.
Yeah, it builds capacity. It kind of drives you to understand the awareness of, I mean, the importance of culture and what all you need to improve. Because I don't think cities in our region, maybe some do, but yeah, they don't really have proper cultural strategies. Novi Sad, European Capital of Culture, due to this project, we made this 10-year strategy for development in culture. Before that, it didn't exist. And now other cities, smaller ones, are also doing that. And then, obviously, analyzing everything, European Capital of Culture gives you kind of good way forward to improve things, even if you don't win. But again, going back to the communication, and I think in our case, it's interesting because in some way we're very visible and people really had the awareness of what we are doing and what we are doing. But then other groups, as you were mentioning, maybe people from the real community didn't feel maybe engaged enough because we focused more on like this external marketing. I think city, like again Skopje, especially need to get into people's hearts, and that's very important to understand. Does Nova Gorica do something like that? Like, how is your marketing approach and marketing communication? I mean, more how do you engage your communities and show visibility?
For now, it is quite local because projects started, but they're not visible. There is no huge outputs now to promote it. But people in Nova Gorica and the region, they're not satisfied with communication, definitely, because the project is not visible in the city. They don't
like
feel
outdoor
yes.
materials.
We started with a few festivals this year, and it was few events were really successful, and I hope that 24 will be much better.
Yeah.
But in this moment, there is also some problems, of course, with budget for marketing. Otherwise, it looks local, and there is some deals with national television, with newspapers. Everything is now in the process, and in a team feel that panic, because we think that 25 is
It's
in
very
3
soon,
years,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. But opening is in February 25, and we are just, I can say, panic now about everything, because yeah.
Asking that, for example, there was an excellent example in Vesprem, what Vesprem did. They have built 2 kilometers of tables, I think, and then they make everything with balloons and fantastic, and they invited the citizens to go there to have a picnic. They brought music there, they brought, I don't know, street theaters and things like that. And after an event like that, the awareness of being European capital of culture
Awareness to
was
food
fantastic.
is always the best.
And that's the point. And it didn't cost nearly anything, you see. So these are the skills, how to do things. And I think, but you haven't been present at this event in West.
No, not at the breakfast.
No, we were there. It was fantastic, really. And so about marketing, this is more than any marketing in media and so on.
I didn't have to do anything with
Lena,
that idea,
yeah.
but I found it a wonderful idea, actually. Yes.
The idea is amazing, definitely. And I also just wanted to mention the example of Aarhus, and also actually the next in 26 is going to be Chemnitz in Germany, which is also interesting, and the process that was around that. But I feel really, who's the target group? And there are many target groups when we think about a culture capital or even a music city, or, you know, who do you want to reach out to, and how and why and how do you do it? So of course, a table like this sounds amazing, and this is good for the community. What about international tourists? What about people that are on TikTok all the time, and people that, you know, what is your aim with this? That I think it comes back to how, you know, is it for you as a city boy? Is it to engage or to inspire people that live in the city to stay, to come, to do something? You know, it's like, I mean, there is a whole strategy that needs to be around that, and I feel your, I don't know. This is just everything that you said just is like, oh my God, what can we do to help, you know? It's like, it just sounds really, really challenging, to be honest. And on the other hand, I know in Chemnitz, you know, it's also about, what kind of people are you gathering around? I know actually there was the marketing director of one of the biggest German performance centers from Hamburg, from Kampnagel, that actually quit her job and was headhunted to do the marketing and the whole strategy for Chemnitz.
That's yeah. And sorry. Yeah,
so let's say it like that. Everybody and always is thinking about the tourism and doing great international propaganda and promotion and so on. No, the most important communication is to the citizens, because they will stay there.
They
you know,
stay,
and
it's for them.
tourists come and go, and there are too many sometimes. But this communication, if I would do it again, I would, of course, put the most efforts into communication with local community, because this is something what stays.
There is another interesting kind of project, and I think Nova Gorica is involved when you talk about how to spread out the word about European capital culture. I was last week in Leeuwarden for this Culture Next, and they had this interesting project called Walking Forest. I don't know if you heard about it. Now, I think the idea of the artistic director for the 25 is to, from Leeuwarden to Nova Gorica, to make like 2 points, and around that to create like a circle. And then this is a whole other level of marketing, the concept of European capital culture. And then all the cities which are on the edges of this circle will be participating in the walking forest trees, because people will cycle and carry one tree with them and then plant on each of these locations. And what better way of community engagement and raising awareness of the European Capitals of Culture network. And I think that's the thing, like nobody really, not nobody, but we don't really think about what is the output, what do we want to achieve with this being one of the European Capitals of Culture, because we come and go, but the network stays, and obviously people. Going back to that, I just wanted to ask you, because one of the big projects of European Capitals of Culture involves infrastructure, which is again related to directly communities. Novi Sad put a big focus on that, and I think that is our biggest community engagement angle, the most visible and tangible ones, because we developed, now it's 11 cultural stations, which are decentralized, and they don't bring big names, big artists. They engage the neighborhood of these cultural stations to come participate in all sorts of different programs. They're not always only related to culture. It could be creating food together and enjoying workshops for crafts and children and housewives or whatever. And this is one of the ways to, again, show another angle of European capitals of culture. Did Maribor do kind of this participation of citizens through something similar?
Yeah, we did that, as I explained in the beginning. So there was a program which was involving, let's say, people from sleeping areas of the city, and they established their gardens where they were, I don't know, growing their own salad and vegetable and things like that. And they were there doing that, and they had a center when they have been joining together, singing, I don't know, just being together. And this was a very, very good experience. But there was no legacy after that, you know. And this is the main thing. If somebody would take care of that and growing it, or just, let's say, maintaining it in the way, it would be okay. But there was a great political struggle. After that, the new mayor came, and everything what the old mayor did and this team was not okay. And then the organization which has put Maribor through the year just fell apart, and nobody didn't want to have anything to do with it anymore, so too bad.
Well, that's one of the biggest challenges, is that we are so directly involved with politics, even though this project is for culture, but and it's not addressing political issues usually. It's usually culture and arts.
I don't think we are involved in politics.
Well,
politics try to interfere. That's a different thing.
But the thing is, like, I understand, but from where we are coming, it's a little different, because when I talk about this problem, or not a problem, for example, with colleagues from Finland or Holland, or they would maybe cut on a little bit of budgets and stuff, but they wouldn't really, politics wouldn't involve in changing the plans and legacies of the programs. For now, in our case, it didn't happen because we had the same government. But the thing is, like, I'm wondering if that changes, why would somebody change things regarding European capital culture? It makes no sense. But everyone is afraid. In Novi Sad, everyone is afraid that if something changes politically, everything will fall apart. And for me, it's really bizarre. But I'm just expressing how the atmosphere is in our city, which I don't think is the case in most other European countries. Or
Yeah,
yes, I don't know.
I would like to mention
big
one more
question.
challenge for our region. Comparing Nova Gorica to Skopje, it's probably 15 times smaller. And we have a big challenge with mobility. 13 municipalities with cities which are between 3 and 10,000 people, without public transport. Public transport existing, but when we are talking about audience development and participation, then we have problem of mobility. We are working now with municipality, having some workshops about it, but in 25 we need.
Is there a plan to change that?
There is a plan, and there is also the main role playing politics. 13 mayors sitting in a regional development council have to develop that strategy, how we are going to be green and to move, to consume all that events we are planning with no problems.
And Balázs, for you coming back to the topic of engaging communities through music, you had a lot of European Creative Europe projects involving young artists, managers, for example, with the most. Do you feel it was successful? And is there now, because the project is over, I'm just taking this as example, but you can obviously add on to it. Is there continuation? And what do you feel is like, for example, the legacy of that? And do you always have these ongoing programs where you grow the community and the scene?
Yeah, the most music festival final showcase in Veszprém, I think it was, on the one hand, it was a good example of how to bring in extra resources to the European Capital of Culture project, because it's a Creative Europe project where the city only had to provide the co-funding part. But it was designed as a one-off project. I mean, that was one of the few that we didn't build as a legacy thing. It was meant to be a one-off thing. But now, because it was so loved by the city, maybe we will do something that will be going on. Obviously something smaller, so not this size every year. But yeah, I mean, it's during this year you try a lot of stuff. Some work, some don't, and you try to continue the ones that seem to work, that seem to interact with the citizens. So
and Veszprém, I think, was doing quite a lot of infrastructure, and you have this new, is it Photon, for example, center?
Yes.
Is it kind of, is the concept related to kind of engaging the local communities, or it is just a venue where you display the arts?
The initial idea was how not to tell it too long. So at the very beginning, we made a list of what's missing from the city. That included all kinds of stuff. A place where you can have breakfast, live music on a random Tuesday night, Asian restaurant, art cinema, so all kinds of this stuff. And we tried to find a solution for each. So, for example, the city made an application for a bar that will have live music at least 4 nights a week. And for the first 3 years, they waived their rental fees. Who won it? That was the kind of support. So not everybody got huge, investment in funds. They got other kinds of support. And Photon was designed as an art cinema, a very small.
That's a project, legacy project of
an 80 capacity of 80 people art cinema. But because the cinema is, I mean, these days you only build multifunctional stuff because the cinema is empty most of the day. So it's also a bar and a very small concert venue, and you can use it for all kinds of other stuff as well, because you want it to be sustainable, or at least not needing too many constant funding. So that's what Photon is. But there are a lot of other like smaller places that will need to make a living on their own after the year runs out.
Yeah, that sustainability is a big question. And how do you, Lena, being like, again, a project within the European Capitals of Culture, did you first of all get through like bid book as like original idea that you kind of proposed and it became a part of it and then continued, and did your project involve local communities as well, or were you through the open calls, so it's like 2 in 1? Okay, sure. You can answer and then we will make a conclusion. Nella is in the house. That's it.
It's out.
Yeah.
It's getting cold here anyway, so. So I feel we have been indirectly and directly involved in this, I have to say, but for us, the connections have been there before. So the Music Cities Network was something that was independent before also the cultural capital came across. So we had the ties and the strings that collaborated before and then during the year as well, as I said. One thing I wanted to mention in terms of legacy and how to continue, and I feel also an example that maybe Skopje can look upon and think about, is really the legacy and how to plan this in advance and think about it further. Aarhus, for example, initiated an Music City Aarhus year, so a year after the culture capital completely focused on music, which took a whole crazy process of the municipality to get involved and the money. Crazy people that were thinking that this would be the way forward. It was a lot of work. It was actually also underfinanced in the end. But in the end, the positive outcome was really, really high in terms of the awareness of the community to think about, this is something that came out of it as well, and we can continue. And of course, what you said as well, continuing to support the frames that are already there in the town and making it easier for new ideas to come alive, to really have easy policies and open access for spaces that are not super expensive.
So in the end, just the last question, is it ode to joy or to disaster?
The struggle. And
I mean, it's just a little joke. I believe for everyone, one of the greatest experiences. It's a beautiful project, it's great, but it's such a huge animal that it really needs such a meticulous planning, and all these things that we mentioned here are so important. Obviously, I couldn't agree with you more. It's all about a people, so team. To kind of stay together and to stay strong is really important, because a lot of things can change, but in the end of the day, there are Vladimir and Masha. As a legacy.
As an NGO, having projects, we have also a network of NGOs.
Nella, we have, a few more minutes,
yeah.
or, yeah, okay.
As a network with the name Network 26, we gave this name to the network because what will happen in 26, we are wondering. And we hope that that group of NGOs will get some venues or venue where we can work, because as you know, we are already fighting for dates in 25, because as a small city cannot cover all those events which are going to happen. And in this moment, there is no infrastructure project which started. There are some plans, but we don't have any guarantee that we are going to have a venue for independent cultural scene. And also want to say that music festivals, very famous music festivals in the region, are not included in a
that's another part of cultural strategy,
yes.
How to involve outside projects,
yes, which are already existing.
That's very, very important. Not to impose not to impose it like, yeah, it's a part of your program, but it's not like now becoming a new brand. That's how to handle people in a way. It's a people skills most of all. Yeah, I would say.
You mentioned ode of joy. It can be ode of joy if the politicians will build the infrastructure and let the professionals do the cultural job. Then it could be ode of joy, because it's very enjoyable to do that. Otherwise, it could be, what an example could be, the, let's say, the choir of the slaves at the end of the day. So that's it. Leave the politicians to build the stages and the city and the roads, and professionals to do the professional part of the business.
Balázs, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, probably no one knows better than Skopje that politicians love to build sculptures or yeah, they need something to play with as well. So leave it to them, and I totally agree that it's a very good separation of roles. Concrete and hardware and software. It's yes. And as I said, probably more than half of the cities fuck it up, try to be the one that doesn't, and leave the software people do their stuff, and focus on the legacy. These are the two most important stuff.
Yeah, there's actually nothing more to add almost than maybe also just one thing I had in mind is ode to joy when you plan realistically and not thinking too big. And maybe Logan should run the whole thing anyway, you know.
At the end, he will. Somebody needs to do the job.
Thank you.